right, so this is season 1, episode 2 of The Crow's Nest, where we discuss stuff that has to do with owning a club and or team. Um, Today we'll be talking about what are the best practices for handling drama in your club, as well as how to maintain activity. Just a brief introduction of our speakers today. So we're going to have Toilet, Emily Night Valley, Felix, Felicia Locust, that's me, and our special guest today is Silas, Cristina Lionheart. So Toilet has been in the SSO community for 11 years, has owned clubs for roughly half that time. They currently own Crystal Pirates, they co-own Royal Regiment Dressage, and they are also an instructor for the Dressage Academy. Silas has been a member of the SSO Dressage community for over a decade, has owned the SSD Registered Club Dragon Whisperers for about half that time and is an active member of the SSD staff team. And then pour moi, Felix, I'm a leader and instructor with Crystal Pirates, and then I also instruct for TDA, SSD, and JDC. And I'm also a huge advocate for volunteering and community engagement. We do have Craig in here. He is now recording. All right, beautiful. Boop, boop, boop. We'll start with our first topic, which is the slide here. What are the best practices for handling drama? So whoever would like to take it away, feel free to start yapping.
Woo.
I suppose I can start.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, it's all good. It really just depends on the type of drama because when it comes to just like drama itself, there is so many subcategories, first of all, and all of them can kind of coalesce into the eventually become into huge things. Like, for example, there are things like interpersonal drama between club members versus drama between you and an opposing organization, club, or team, and those types of things. It's all sorts of like craziness. And one of the biggest things to really know when it comes to dealing with drama itself, first of all, is to to know about it, first of all, and then to find a solution that doesn't involve a lot of like violent confrontation, because as you know, confrontation is the worst sort of thing that can happen. I am going so off rip with this because my brain is not working, so forgive me for that. But um when it comes to just dealing with you got to identify the type of drama. That's the big one. And then it really just depends because, for example, like with interpersonal drama between club members, it's all about just sitting down and having the conversations that you might not want to have that conversation with, or to like figure out the root of the problem and try to solve it as you can. Or as it comes to beef with a different organization, sometimes the best way to just solve that problem is to just yourself from that organization. Like, it really just depends. It's a very situational issue. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like every time the drama occurs, it's its own basket of worms. Like you can't really you can sort of anticipate how things will go down, but there's always some wrench that's gonna get thrown in there that you
Oh,
didn't
absolutely,
expect.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
for me, the biggest thing is that if any sort of drama occurs, whether it's big or small, give yourself time and space to step back from things and then so you avoid reacting and making decisions in the heat of the moment when you're like potentially quite upset about what's happening or you want to
Hmm.
like angrily reply. Like just take a step back. If like somebody's like expecting a reply from you, you can let them know like, hey, like I need to like take some time to really think and reflect about this, but I will get back to you. And you can give them a time frame like within the next like day or 2 days, just so they're not like wondering when you're going to reply, but give yourself like the time and space to like process what's happening, feel your emotions, like be in your feels, but then kind of like give yourself the space so that you can think like more logically about what's happening and not just react in the heat of the moment.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes. I definitely agree with that. Um, Especially like if you know that you're gonna react, maybe set like a time frame, like specifically per situation that you take a break from.
Hmm.
Um, Also, if you didn't know, you can mark messages unread on Discord, and that has been a lifesaver for me because if I don't have the ping, I typically forget about the message. So if I get, even if it's not drama related, if I get a DM and I can't answer it like in the moment, I try to be like personal when I answer messages constantly. So if I don't have time to sit down and actually answer, then I just say, hey, I got your message, but I'll answer whenever I'm free next, or like Felix said, I give a time frame.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
marking messages unread can be a lifesaver, so I highly recommend doing that.
Yeah,
Right,
or if
right.
you
That is
have
so good.
like if you organize like your like I personally organize my Star Stable stuff in Notion, but if you use like your calendar or like your notepad app or like Obsidian, for example, you can also like put there like, hey, like remember to respond to this person about this situation by this time. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm. Like
I
hold
have to
yourself
write that down.
accountable so that they
Yes,
know
indeed.
that you're like considerate of their time, but they also understand that you need time as well to in order to
Mhm.
formulate like a response, all that good stuff.
Right,
Hmm.
right. Yeah, drama itself is just a huge can of worms. Like one of the most well, I'll with story time. So, when it comes to one of the more recent situations of drama we had is when DW was dealing. I'm not going to name the person for obvious reasons, but we had a person who was quite immature for our group, and they caused some rifts between themselves and the other members our club. So what the high ranks did is while we did give them plenty of chances, we tried our best to work with them. At some point, also, if you realize that a bridge just cannot be fixed or a person is just not a good fit, and if it's jeopardizing the structure of your club and causing a lot of problems, a lot of the times that it's better to just cut ties and allow that person leave rather than try to keep them there even if your club is small and you have members. Oftentimes you want to try and a space that is comfortable for your members and not just a large group of people, if you know what I mean. So you always got to really work to try and keep that internal peace within your group, and sometimes that does require you to remove some people if they turn out to not in turn group. And while it does suck, it does sometimes, and I believe more often than not, does happen.
Right, you don't want one person, you don't want to try and keep one person if they harsh the vibe of like the rest of the group
Hmm.
and make other people
Yeah,
uncomfortable. Yeah, it's definitely something you have to
yeah.
consider. Hmm.
This is something that I've had to learn a lot. I am very much like a people person, and I want everybody to be my friend. So in the
Right,
beginning,
right.
I literally
I'm the
could
same
never,
way.
I could never send a message like, "Hey, you're being removed. I'm sorry." I just literally could not. But now that I've like grown and matured, obviously it's become easier. So some of this stuff definitely like comes with time. But of course, now that
Yeah.
I'm more experienced, I can be like, "Okay, I love you." Like you could do it in love. Like I love you, but this is just not working out. I need you to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this is not it, fam. This is just not
Yeah,
it.
with love, heart.
It's like, yeah, and a lot of times it is more difficult because, sometimes this person can be good friends with a high rank, and usually they try to become good friends with the high ranks, and it's like, well, crud, because I'm your friend now, but you're being terrible to everybody else.
Mm,
Hmm.
So it
yeah.
puts you in that position on top of that. So it's all about maintaining that core value of I need to look out for the club's best interest as a whole rather than just my own peace of mind as the top priority,
Hmm.
which which is a hard mindset to get sort of around initially.
Right, and like you mentioned, like if you're close friends with a member who starts like behaving poorly, it's like how do you separate yourself? Like you have your friendship with them, but then it's like as a club owner, you've also taken on this responsibility for like essentially like curating a safe community for your members. And even though this
Mhm.
person is your friend, if they're breaking the rules and they're making things like icky for the community, you have to go, I love you, you're my friend, but this is no bueno. I'm either
Yeah.
going to have to like, you know, um, make you take a break or you're going to be timed out or whatever. And then you can come back and show that you're being a good little Pookie. Or if they continue being a bad Pookie, I am so sorry, but goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the hard part too, is a lot of these times these people are so nice or they're
Hmm.
nice in other regards, and it's like, well, darn, why are
Yeah.
you being like this?
Hmm. Hmm. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely
And
think
then,
there's like a.
oh, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Philip.
Go. Oh,
You go.
same brain cell, same brain cell.
Yeah.
I feel like there could be an interesting discussion to have about the SSO community because we're trying to like form like friendship groups, but there's also a part of it where it's kind of like you have to apply to get in, so it's kind of like a mini job in a way. Like we're a
Mm.
Oh
secretive
yeah,
group
yeah.
that you
You
have to
have to
apply to,
you have to
but
be
we're
so
friends.
picky. You have to be so picky about letting people into your club nowadays.
Hmm. So it's definitely interesting how the Star Stable community works. I know Zero's talked to me about this. They're like, we're a friend group, but you have to apply to get in, and you have to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's really evolved in an interesting way, but I guess,
Yes.
it's just kind of how the community has changed over the
Oh
years.
my gosh, yeah, I remember the chat commanded days where it literally was just
Oh
like, oh, you
God.
want to do dressage? Join us. We don't care. And now
Yeah,
it definitely has
that
changed.
was the Wild West.
Hmm.
Like
It's so fun
speaking of
though.
like if when you're in like a tricky situation, like it's a friend of yours who's like being difficult as a member, or maybe it's just like a really complicated piece of drama. Another thing you can do is like think about who can you consult for help. So like
Mhm.
maybe it's like your own staff members. Hopefully it's not a staff member who's being a bookie because then that gets really
Oh
Oh yeah,
no.
really
those are a little rough.
sticky.
Uh-oh.
If you know like owners or leaders from other clubs or teams, you can talk to them because they've usually experienced the same things. Or sometimes like if you want a truly like impartial opinion, you can speak to a friend or family member who doesn't even play SSO, and you can be like, okay, this is a situation. I play this Pixel Pony game,
Yes.
and there's this
No,
person.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So it's
remember
like
doing that.
who in your network can you reach out to kind of explain what's going on? They can give you like an outside perspective because they're not directly involved. Sometimes that can really help because if you're like right in the middle of the situation and you're overthinking it, and then you like talk to your sibling, for example, and they're like, okay, this person is being really strange. Like you're valid
Hmm.
in like your concerns, or you know what, maybe they're coming at it from this direction, and maybe you just need to like talk to them a little more and try to understand like why they're acting this way. But yeah, who can you talk to?
Hmm. Expand your circle.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, drama is one of those things that while it can potentially become a bomb, you need to know how to properly diffuse it
Mm,
to avoid the explosion.
right.
Mm. Oh, okay. I think I kind of find it interesting that you say that. I feel like there's a responsibility on the staff to be able to handle situations, but there's also a responsibility on everybody else's party to like state their concerns, if that makes sense. Like
Mm,
Mhm.
generally if you're
Yeah,
having a situation, don't just wait until it's gonna blow up. Like try to talk to people
exactly,
so you can figure
exactly.
out figure it out sooner rather than later.
mm-hmm.
That is a big thing too, is especially if you want to have a safe club environment, you and every other member needs to be on the same page being like, hey, if someone is going to start upsetting you, you need to be the one to A, talk to a staff member that this person is causing problems for you, like immediately, or B, find a way to talk to them yourself and dissolve um, because again, a lot of the times, a lot of people tend to wait until it's a really bad situation before.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they like to wait. I mean, it's not like they like to wait. They feel they can handle it on their own, do it, or they wait until it's really bad because they don't think it's that big of a deal, and then kaboom.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
that's a good point. Like I feel like as you get more seasoned as a club or team owner, you kind of start to like notice early signs of like drama, potential drama brewing, and you can cut it off earlier, or maybe not
Mm-hmm.
cut it off, but resolve things earlier. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then also too, like if it does start to get like more explosive, like you said, I find what's important is to like kind of like catalog. So this is the time where you like don't react straight away, take some time to think. In that time you can
Mm-hmm.
think about like what do I know about the situation, like who are the different people involved, have I spoken to all of them and gotten their perspective, because sometimes like say for example you have one person who comes and talks to you, maybe this is your friend, the person you're friends with, and like, oh yeah, there's this other person in the club and they've been like saying these things, blah blah blah. But then you talk to that person and maybe like two other people, and they're like, no, actually, it's this original person who talked to you who was saying this stuff. So like the more points of view you can like listen to and hear about, more angles on what's happening can help you like more
Mm-hmm.
fully understand why the drama is happening, what kind of caused it, who's beefing with who, and then hopefully you can
Mm-hmm.
get the people to like talk to each other and resolve things, or you can kind of identify this person is really being a bad actor and I'm gonna have to like discipline them or kick them, unfortunately.
Mhm. Yes. So basically, you just got to find the balance of being able to be like, hey, I know I want everyone to enjoy being in the club, but you also have to be the one to put the hammer down,
Hmm.
um, and be like, everyone is going to be looking towards you and your leadership when it comes to dealing with drama.
Right.
So no one else is going to really be holding your hand. Um, and that's the kind of harsh reality that comes sort of with the territory, unfortunately. Um, is that again, you got to figure out how to do these things sort of on your own, and as hard as it can be, you also have to be the one to set the standard when it comes to discipline, because again, if people think they can walk all over you, then that's exactly what they're going to do. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And I will say that it's definitely a skill that will serve you well later in life if you're ever in like a managerial position at work or any kind of position where you're responsible for employees under you. You're actually learning skills as a club owner for Star Stable. Funny enough, the skills of
Mm-hmm.
like problem solving, conflict management, having to like enforce rules, you will be able to draw on that later. So don't feel like it's for nothing. You'll be able to use those skills later on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. People,
Oh
your
gosh.
people skills will go way up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely helped a lot. I think I want to like I'm in college right now, so I might apply for like a job somewhere, and I just have like play back scenarios in my mind, and I'm like, they're gonna ask me a question, and I'm gonna have to explain that I run an online gaming organization that's about horses, and that's where I get all my experience from. It's
I
Yeah,
mean,
very
it's like
thrilling, but
I
very
I have
exciting.
such good people skills. Where do you get your people skills? About that.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, you can say like I ran like an online community for like a multiplayer game where there was X amount of people, like an esports team. Yeah, that's a great way to phrase it, Anna. Yeah.
Yeah, I just say gaming organization usually.
Yeah.
Whenever they ask, it takes a
Yeah.
Yeah,
while
like
to explain if they don't know the
esports
game.
team or gaming organization, and it's like, please don't ask any further details than
It's
that.
very professional. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, please do not ask any further details.
Yeah.
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 Oh, the joys.
Um, I will say too, like whenever like if you are like dealing with drama, it's good to document everything. So take screenshots of messages because sometimes people will go back and delete stuff, and you want to keep an
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
accurate record. I mean, this can be a little annoying, but do your best to keep track of that. Maybe slap it all into a Google Doc. If you are in a voice call with people, you can say like, "Are you comfortable with me recording this call?" If not, like take notes while you're speaking, so because your memory is infallible. You won't remember exactly what this person said at this point or how you replied. So it's good to have that record. Um, so yeah. And then sometimes you'll see like those like exposing Google Docs or
Oh
slideshows
God, not
that get
the
passed around
exposed
like
docs.
this person, and it's like 100 pages long, and you're like, wow, they really documented everything.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Go in
yeah,
like lawyer mode.
exactly. Yeah,
Literally.
all the little details. Because like otherwise, like some people, like I don't know, maybe they feel remorseful or they're embarrassed about what they said, so they try to like recant on what they said previously, but you're like, no, I have the screenshot right here. You said this. Like
Mm-hmm.
you need to account for this behavior before like we can resolve things, or we can think about like having you rejoin, or before like we would recommend you for another club if you're not going to like acknowledge that you said this thing that was, you know, not nice. We're not gonna
Hmm.
like,
Right,
let you back into the community, right? So yeah,
right,
it's a way to
right.
keep people accountable, essentially. Hmm.
Yes.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes. Accountability is a big thing. I also think it
Yeah.
would be helpful if um like if people I know some people who are like they want things written down because they have like ADHD or like what do
Hmm.
you call it, Felix? Neurospicy.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
people are
Mm-hmm.
neurospicy, yeah.
so
Yep.
writing it down could be helpful because then they can like go back to it and they're not having to like overcram their brain with a bunch of stuff that you understand but they might not be understanding.
Exactly, exactly, yeah.
But it's also like a written record because like everybody communicates differently. So if you can have like a written
Yes.
account and then they understand like your point of view, like I wrote everything down, this is how I perceive the situation. And then they can
Mm-hmm.
look at what you wrote and go, okay, I understand that you're coming at it from this direction. This is how I perceive the situation. Then you guys can compare notes and go, okay, this is where like we didn't really like understand each other. We were at cross purposes. And then you can kind of like discuss things and
Mhm.
then compromise or resolve or what have you. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Another thing too that's really good is if you keep a record of previous drama, you can call back to that previous experience. You're not just like going into your mushy brain, your mushy brain computer and going, what happened? What did they say? How did I like resolve things in the end? Like what
Mhm.
were the final like resolution or consequences? So that's something you can do as well. If more drama occurs, you can go, okay, in the previous times when this sort of thing happened, how did we resolve things? Did that work well? Did it not work well?
Mhm.
How can I change things a little this time? How do I take into account the current people who are involved in the drama? Um, yeah, so can you make different decisions this time around that could lead to better outcomes? So like, it kind of sucks having to deal with drama, but it also helps you um,
Mhm.
get better for future drama, if that makes sense.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Especially because yeah, drama can come in a lot of different forms.
exactly. Yes.
Like, yeah, you could have a bad apple at one point or someone who's behaving badly. You could have someone somehow, for some reason, lie about their age and actually be a 9-year-old. There's a lot
Mm,
of things that can happen.
mm-hmm.
The joys of being a Star Spangled
Uh-huh.
Club owner.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of
Oh,
Toilet's
yeah, we
favorite
all have
quotes.
horror stories. Yeah, we all have them.
Yeah. So yeah,
So
so what we talked about earlier, if you have other people you can commiserate with who are also owners or leaders, you guys can kind of all
Hmm.
just kind of go, "Oh my goodness, this happened." Everybody's like, "Oh no, I've had a similar situation. This is how we dealt with
Yep.
it." Yeah.
I think we all have had very similar experiences as club owners in that regard, especially when it comes to drama.
Mm-hmm. Or when you have like one person who like somehow gets into like all the clubs, like they kind of club hop around and each club they're
Oh,
in
not the serial club hoppers. Oh, God.
they instigate the same drama in each new club they're in. You're like, oh, not this
Oh
person
my
again.
God.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. That is
Yeah.
also why you also keep a blacklist with your fellow club owners. Be like, hey, there's this really bad person that was in our club. I highly recommend you do not let them in. And it's like, oh, thanks for the tip. I won't.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And
So,
then yeah, that record is really important. Also, like if it was long enough ago, like I don't know, 6 months to a year, you can go, well, maybe they've grown and changed. They become a better person, and then give them a shot, and then you go, oh, you know what? They are a better person now. Or you're like, actually, no, they're still being a
they're
bookie.
still bad. The blacklist stays. Whoopsie doops.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Um, Another thing I wanted to say is like when you're talking to all the people who are involved with the situation, do your best to treat each person with empathy. So try to put yourself in their shoes, try to understand where they're coming from and what emotions they may be feeling. So you want
Mhm.
to really put yourself in listening mode rather than um like
fixing the problem of.
yeah, fixing the problem straight away. Just listen to what they have to say, like what their perspective is, and then that can kind of help you better understand what's going on as a whole.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Because again, at the end of the day, as a club owner, you are both judge, jury, and unfortunately executioner.
Yes.
So you you have to be the one to enforce the rules, discipline those who break them, and if it necessary, you do have to be the bad guy and kick the bad apples. And that
Yeah.
is a difficult thing to do.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
again, you always got to have that level head, especially when it comes to dealing with drama, especially when that drama has nothing to do with you yourself, and it's just like, oh, this is happening between my club members. What the heck? So,
Yeah.
um,
And like you may
yeah,
have like, for example, some members that have been around longer, so maybe you're a little more bit more partial to them, but then you just kind of
mm-hmm,
have to like step back and go like, okay, like maybe this newer member is telling me something that's quite concerning about a more senior member. I really need to
mm-hmm.
listen to what they have to say and consider it like how they're presenting it, try to get more information. But yeah, like you said, you have to do your best to be impartial. I mean, nobody can be 100% impartial. I think it's not
No,
possible as a
yeah,
human being, but you do your best, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, what do you guys how do you guys go about informing the other members of what happened? Like once the drama has been dealt with,
Mm.
what how do you let the rest of the club or the team know what happened?
Well, it really depends on what actually transpired and what was the
Hmm.
end result of how you deal with the drama. Like if somebody was kicked from the club and everyone's like, "Oh, why is that person gone?" you have to kind of frame it in a way of being like, this person was kicked for this reason. Please do not send any hate towards them, but
Mhm.
they are no longer a part of the club, sort of thing. You don't want to send any negative emotions, especially towards your club members, towards that person if they get removed
Mhm.
or if they just got like a disciplinary action and they didn't get kicked. Biggest thing is number one, to let any high ranks know who weren't a part of it so they are aware of it,
Mhm.
and to just not draw any unnecessary attention to that disciplinary infraction, because like internal embarrassment can happen if the entire club knows that, oh, this person made an oopsie. Well,
Yep.
that's embarrassing, you know so you kind of want to treat it like you're like the teacher of a class. Like, do you want to publicly shame your student, sort of thing, or do you just want to like let it kind of settle down, especially if it's like a disciplinary issue and it's
Mhm.
like, oh, they're already working to resolve it, so there's no need for me to like bring this to everybody's attention. Again, it really just depends on the severity of it, but with that the case, it really is a need to know sort of basis. Like, if they're kicked, everyone's going to know, but if it's like a minor disciplinary issue, you only need to let those who need to know about that sort of thing.
Right. If it's like a small group and like you said, they're resolving things between themselves with your help, you don't necessarily need to let the whole club know. Unless maybe it affected like a huge number of members, then you might be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
guys, let's sit down and talk about this. This was a bit of like a dumpster fire. But like you said, yeah,
Hmm.
if somebody is kicked, it's probably best to like let the members know, like, this is the reason why. Like you said, don't like spam them in their DMs, don't like follow them around in game, like just whatever, they're gone, it's done with.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, you don't want to leave them in the dark because otherwise they're going to speculate, they're going to come up with their own ideas of what happened. So yeah, just have like a good summary for them so they understand why they were kicked, what led to that decision without going into like too much detail. Like they don't need to know everything, but like so they
Right,
understand
right.
and they're not like left wondering like why? Why is this person gone? Yeah, for sure.
Pretty
Hmm.
much, yeah.
There's this really good quote. I don't know who it's from, and I'm probably gonna misquote it wrong, but there's this one quote that I heard, and it was like, "Unchecked fear turns into anger,"
Mm.
and
Hmm.
especially in like mob mentality, because TBH, we're all, some people are teenagers, we have mob mentality in SSO. I'm pretty sure that's changes per group, but most people do TBH. It's just like an
Hmm.
unnatural thing. Um, See, my biggest thing, especially in like Crystal Pirates, I've said this like the crew that are listening right now, I value communication a lot, and kind of like what Silas was saying. Like, if it's a small thing, like if somebody's leaving, you can just put like a little note that's like, hey, they left. Maybe it's for personal reasons. You can't tell everybody. But even just taking a second to communicate and write like a short message can keep people in the loop. Um, and if it is something huge, then yeah, I would definitely address it. I've made mistakes. Sometimes I just have to write a long message and hope that everybody reads it. Sometimes we club call meetings to just talk about stuff. We haven't had to do that a lot, but definitely changes case by case.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you can show that like you value honesty and transparency, like through communicating like decisions like that to your members as a whole, they're more likely
Hmm.
to kind of go, okay, if I go and talk to the owner or the staff members, they're going to do their best to treat me with respect and to resolve this whole thing in like an honest and transparent manner. So the more you can
Hmm.
model that behavior, the more likely it is to be reciprocated by everyone.
Right, right.
Even though it's really hard sometimes, and you're like, I want to be a little angry gremlin and like,
Oh
Yeah.
my
but
god,
Angry
yeah.
behavior.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
for yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's when you take like maybe like a day, you go play your favorite comfort game, or you cuddle with your cat on the
Oh my
couch and like
gosh.
watch your favorite Netflix show, or you go like see your friends and you go out for dinner or like a walk or something, and
Hmm.
you gab
This
about your
Yep.
just
Pixel
reminded
Pony
me.
game to them, and they're
Oh
like, oh
my
my God, that
gosh.
sounds terrible.
Yes.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is reminding me of my journal that I write in.
Oh my
Did you write
god,
about drama in your
journaling.
journal, Toilet?
No, I haven't done it recently, but you
Okay.
guys don't know. I have this journal, and like I write about it with club stuff. And like if I'm like really happy, really sad, or really mad, I'll go write in my journal, and then
Oh
I
boy.
force myself to be happy, and I leave a little note for future me, so that every time I'm like, "Arr, I have to deal with the situation," I go to open the journal, and it's just like past me being like, "Hi, Tyler, you're gonna do really good today. Go slay!" And I'm like, "Okay, well now I can't be mad."
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
like the last thing I want to say about drama is that keep in mind that when something is on the internet, it's forever. So you can't guarantee that
Hmm.
anything you wrote or said in voice call remain private. So you want to think about how your conduct will reflect not only you as a person, but your club and or team's reputation as a whole. So it's like
Exactly.
it's hard, but it's like how do you always like stay professional while also being empathetic to
Mm-hmm.
whoever's talking to you,
Mm-hmm.
and always keep in the back of the mind, I am not only like, for example, Felix, I am also a leader for Crystal Pirates, and what I say, what I do reflects on
Mm-hmm.
the club as a whole. So yeah,
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
the joys, the joys.
The joys of, oh God, I gotta maintain a good reputation now. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like it's not only like you as the owner, or your club, but anybody who's in your club is also under that umbrella. So like you don't want to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have people see them in game or on Discord and be like, ew, they're a member of Crystal Pirates. Oh my
Yeah.
Oh God.
Pirates.
god.
Yeah, like, ugh, oh no.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any more comments about handling drama?
I don't have anything. I don't know if the audience has any questions.
Oh well,
Audience,
no.
questions from the audience if you have any.
Feel free to yell.
We need like the Jeopardy theme. Do 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 do
Little
do
buzzer.
do 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 do. It's I am kind of sad and glad that the soundboard is not available in stages. Can you imagine how chaotic that would
Honest,
be?
oh
Oh yeah,
God.
imagine.
I would
Uh.
accidentally click a loud one. I know I would.
All right, can you change to the next slide then, please, toilet?
Yes. Here we go.
Oh,
Woo!
yippee! All right, next topic is how do you maintain activity in your club? So I think Toilet, you said you wanted to explain how Crystal Pirates manages their attendance, and then Silas, if you want to talk about Dragon Whispers attendance system as
Of
well.
course, of course.
Yes. Okay, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, quickest rundown because I don't want to take up the whole like last 30 minutes we have. So our activity system in Crystal Pirates, how it is set up. So we have a Google Sheet that we track all of our attendance on. We have a point system. This changes per club, but in Crystal Pirates, we give an attendance point for anybody who attends a practice or event. And if they watch a practice, doesn't matter what rank it is, they'll get half a point. And we track all this on the agenda. It's like per week. Um, and then of course we take into account LTAs and STAs. We have like color coding on the sheet. But our basic overview system is that as people attend events, you get a point. It goes onto the sheet. And then also at the end of the month, one of the captains sends everybody a attendance check-in. So it says like, hey, you attended this many practices throughout the month because we have a monthly requirement. And then on top of that, we also have attendance bonuses and rewards. So that is also included in the monthly checklist letter. Like, hey, you have these many points, go buy some fun rewards. And everybody usually likes that. That's like the TLDR version. I don't know, Felix, if you want to add on any deeper thoughts to it.
I also find that the Google Sheet personally is super helpful because all the staff members who are responsible for attendance, so anybody who leads dressage practices or events, can go and update it. So it's not like
Mhm.
you have to wait for somebody else to update it. If you're a staff member, you can go and update it. And then also the members have access to it as well. So if they're wondering like, hey, like can't quite remember how many practices or events I went to this week, they can go and check and say, okay, I've met my 2 per week requirement, I'm good. Or, oh, I only went once, so I'm going to do my best to attend another before the end of the week comes up. It's also where we leave like little notes for each other, like, hey, like this member is on break from this date to this date. So if we're doing attendance, we can kind of note that as well.
Mhm.
Right.
Communication.
Fun. So DW is kind of similar. Our staff members are in charge of collecting everyone's attendance at the beginning of every practice. DW, rather than a monthly attendance requirement, does a weekly. We expect our members to at least attend 2 events. So we keep tabs on them, see which events they attend each week. And then we give points based on how long they're there. For example, if they're there for an hour of practice, that's 1 point. If they're there for any other extra hour plus that, that's for every extra hour, that's another point. And these points, depending on the rank, give different rewards. For example, our new trial members, they just gain points towards their eventual promotion, whereas our higher ranks, any other official club member, gain points where they can redeem them for super fun rewards like controlling a practice or making everyone ride silly horses for practice. Again, we do a bunch of goofy rewards as well to encourage our members to attend. We also do a variety of different events that also do count towards attendance. So it's not just boring dressage all the time. Like they can attend just a normal practice and a training event, and that will count towards their 2 points. Or if they attend both flat practices, that's 2 points. So it's very easy. We try to be sort of relaxed about it, and all our staff members keep up to date with everyone's LTAs, which are long term absences or regular absences throughout the week. We do try and check in with our members if we notice that they're sending a frequent amount of absences or their attendance is getting a little sus. But we try to have a sort of hands off approach to allow everyone to have their own accountability and only really check in if we notice it's starting to become a problem and try to correct them for that sort of thing to get them right back on the right track.
That's really cool.
What would you guys say are like the important places to have like your activity requirements like listed? Like I think like some of the
But
basics is like for prospective members, it's like on your application form, if you have like an
mhm,
application section in your open server, your website, or any other location. But are like there's
right.
some other places where that should be?
Yeah. So obviously with any like if where any place that you know your club requirements are, always try to list the activity requirements. Like, hey, if your club only requires 2 events a week, make sure to put that in your requirements on like your public Instagram or on your open server, sort of things like that, which we do. We also have a very transparent attendance policy within our closed server. So if anyone forgets, they can always come and find that resource right in the server in a very easy spot so that everyone is always sort of up to date on what they need to know when it comes to attendance, and no one is confused by the end of each week when attendance resets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that
Yep.
can like if you're very clear up front, like even before people join, then there's less confusion later. Like they're not like, oh, I had no idea I had to come to 2 things a week, and it's like, bruh, it's listed here, 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 and here.
It's like,
When you
yeah,
joined in orientation, we mentioned it here. Periodically, we remind
exactly,
here.
exactly.
So unless you're like
It's like,
you're like that Mariah Carey gif, I'm blind or whatever, every time you look at anything about attendance, it's like,
yeah, it's like unless you are both deaf and blind, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hmm
yeah, again, you always want to have that very clear transparency about activity. And then again, always kind of spice it up. Like having the same mundane schedule every week or every month can oftentimes cause boredom towards your members, which I have
Hmm.
learned. So definitely having splitting things up with a variety of different events, like a lot of people like to train or to do different game nights or movie nights.
Hmm.
Like even though you are a dressage based club or whatever sort of discipline you are based on, you never want to be just completely that discipline because you are not a military academy. You people are like they don't have to spend their entire week there every single day of the week. Like you don't want to bore them to death. That is the factors. You are often fighting against other people's boredom,
hmm
Right, and you want to like
turning it.
oftentimes too with dressage practices, it's often just the instructor speaking, but then if you're hosting other stuff, it gives the other people the chance to like interact with each other if they're comfortable
Mhm.
speaking or through chat and they're not having to like stay super focused on dressage for sure.
Exactly, exactly.
hmm Yep, that can definitely help. And if members lead events, that can be really beneficial as well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If any poopies want to take a stand and be like, I want to lead an event, that can
Yeah.
be really fun and it takes some pressure off of HR.
Hmm.
Yeah, it also helps build confidence.
hmm Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, like again, activity is always a hard thing when it comes to clubs. Even big clubs can struggle with activity. Like if your club or group does not have a lot of members attend all the time, just know that not even like big clubs have every single member attend every single practice. Like you can't expect that. So don't like beat yourself up if everyone can't attend everything because that's just how life is. But as long as everyone is putting an effort and you know they are, that's all you can really hope for. And when a lot of people can attend events, that's also great. And you should always celebrate the days that everyone is there. So even if not everyone can show up on a specific day, don't let it get you down, especially for the members that are there. Try to keep that positive attitude so that it's like, hey, when everyone does show up to an event, that's like an extra great day. But you never want to have the mood kind of sour if as many people as you wanted don't show up, which is another skill that takes a little while to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I find that very interesting that you brought that up. This is reminding me about this is what I try to impart on my staff bookies. Never trying to like cancel lessons just because there's only one person that shows up. Like if people are putting in the effort and time to show up, even if it's only one person, like don't just cancel the lesson because you're like, well, I needed another person so we could do the moves that I have for today. Like be
Yeah.
willing to shift your plans so that you can still like be online even if it's only with one person. Being adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then if there's a smaller group, it gives like that smaller group like more chances to connect with each other. Whereas when it's a big group, it tends to be more chaotic, which is fun. But although those
hmm
occasions where there's less people there, you have more chances to like talk with each other
Right,
more
right.
easily. Hmm.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. And like even if those smaller lessons, oh, I had expected like maybe 5 or 6 people to show up, but only like 2. That's like, well, we can be a little more silly because we can't
Mm.
do what I exactly planned, but we can still have fun with it. And that's the big thing too, is to not get upset that not everyone can attend, but to just to make it fun for the people that did, so that it doesn't dishearten them from attending,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because you always want to make sure that your practices or your events are fun and welcoming and everyone enjoys being there so that they keep coming back. Because again, you always want to you think of it kind of like a business. If you have a customer and that customer doesn't come back, well, that's not good. But you always want to have those repeat customers so that they keep coming back and they want to keep coming back because they enjoy the service you're offering. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's,
That's a
yeah,
good
you
analogy.
always want to provide that sort of environment that makes people want to keep coming back. Because, if you have a good customer that keeps coming back, eventually they're going to recommend this to other potential customers and then your business will grow, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always sort of having that good mindset, even if things don't go exactly as you hope they do.
I'm nodding my head, but you can't see me nodding.
I imagine the aggressive nodding over
Yeah,
there.
I'm like,
um, I'm just
oh.
curious, what do you guys think of like LTAs, long-term absence, or long-term breaks, LTBs? Like what's like a different ways you can like format that for your club? Um, like how do they work? Um, like how long does
So
the break need to be for it to be an LTA? How long can people be on LTA? How many LTAs can they take per X amount of time, like within a year, for example?
hmm So for DW, we have an interesting policy. So for like a blanket LTA, like you're not going to be active like at all.
Mm-hmm.
The max you can do it is 2 months, as long as you keep up with a high rank and the high rank knows you're not dead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the max you can go at any point of being on an LTA is 2 months. But we have a variety of different LTAs. Like some of our members are in college, so
Right.
there's a blanket set of days that they cannot be active.
Mm-hmm.
So they put in LTAs for those specific days until the end of their college term. So that we know ahead of time, oh, these people are not going to be here on Mondays and Wednesdays from this date to this date. Every Monday and Wednesday, they're not going to be here. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. That's what I know. So it really just depends on the type of LTA for us. But again, we are always super understanding of people, of their life and what's going on. So as long as people talk to the high ranks and let us know what is going on, and we know you're not just ghosting us or
Mm-hmm.
dead,
Yeah.
we're usually pretty understanding of those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna try to do another TLDR summary.
Yeah,
Um,
fair enough.
yeah. So for CP, we have just regular absences. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna be there today. We have STAs and LTAs, which is like short-term absence, long-term absence. We define it as like if it's gonna span 5 or more days, that's considered an LTA, and if it's 5 or less days, that's an STA. And basically how we do it is we have this written down in the absent form channels pin. But if you need to take an STA, you just say from this date to this date, I'll be gone. And then the staff will input it into the sheet. I don't know if you guys remember, I mentioned like colors. We have specific colors on the sheets. Like there's like a light blue and a yellow. So we kind of like change the box of the person per week and add a comment. Like getting LTAs can be really simple. You can either just put a message into our absence channel, or if it's like really personal, you can just message a HR because we're capable of inputting that. Like Felix said, all the people who can host and take attendance have access to the sheet. So if it's really personable, obviously we want you to come to an HR. And obviously we won't be like spilling anybody's secrets if it's like, hey, I don't want anybody else to know about this. But that's how our current system works. You just reach out, and like you said, Silas, communication is key.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know. I don't think people understand. Like, we'll be in the staff server and be like, we haven't heard from this member for like 4 or 5 days. Are they okay? Like, did they
Yeah.
lose
Like,
power?
why?
Or like, are they in the hospital? Like,
Yeah, like
what
that's
is
the thing
going
too. Is
on?
like it's like we really like again, we're not going to be all up in your business,
hmm
but again, we just want to know that you're not dead.
Yeah, like
So
we care about them, right? We want to know they're okay, or like, do they need to take a break? So yeah, like
right,
communication is wonderful. We
yeah,
love it.
yeah,
Uh,
because like again, like yeah, even if you do have like again, everyone has that attendance policy. So like,
hmm
and there are times when you're not going to be able to adhere it for so and so reason because hey,
Yeah.
I got to take these days off or whatever,
hmm
and that is completely fine. The biggest thing to remember is that if you are a member of a club, you also need to be responsible for talking to high ranks or reaching out and using respective channels to let them know that hey, I'm not going to be here and not just disappear off the face of the earth because your high ranks are going to be like, where did this person go?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
What's
so
this
for
thing?
yeah,
It's
sure.
like a two-way street.
hmm
yeah. So it's a two-way street sort of thing. Like the high ranks will work with you, so as long as you work with the high ranks and let them know what is up. So that sort of thing
For
when it comes
sure.
to activity. Because
And then,
unfortunately we are not wizards who can see into the future and know yeah, that's what that person is doing. I see.
right, look into that crystal ball.
Crystal ball, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
Oh, that's so good.
just like what do you do though if someone like say your max LTA is 2 months? What if somebody stays on it for longer than 2 months? What happens then?
So when it comes to when they start getting close to that 2 month mark, a high
hmm
rank usually reaches out at about 2 weeks before, and if they don't get back to us, we'll do 1 week before, and we'll discuss, hey, are you able to come back, or do we need to extend this further? Like, what is going on? We do a
hmm
check in before the 2 month mark, so that if so that they have a chance to talk to us and check in, sort of thing. Like we don't just leave them alone.
hmm
We're not a hindrance either, but we do check in occasionally, be like, hey, are you dead? Are you alive? Is everything okay? Is everything going as planned? Sort of thing.
Right.
But again, if they don't, but the thing is, if they don't reach out to us and they don't get back to us by that 2 month mark, we officially list that person as AWOL, and unfortunately, AWOL tend to get removed because again, if you are just extremely inactive and you don't communicate and we do
hmm
not know what is up with you, there's nothing we can do to help you. So there's unfortunately no reason to keep you in the club if you are just not there, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, it's again, if you're just not reaching out to us and not communicating at the bare minimum, there's nothing we can do to keep you in the club anymore because at that point you are just taking up space,
hmm
which is always
Mhm.
unfortunate. So we always try and reach out and give these people an opportunity, especially if they get close to that 2 month mark. Hey, are you alive? Do you need to take longer? Are you able to come back earlier? Anything sort of like that, just to make
hmm
sure that that communication is there.
Right. For sure.
Mhm.
Charlotte, do you want to
Oh,
talk a bit about the what
the
happens
mascots.
if a pirate stays on break for longer than a month?
Yes. Okay. So our LTA rule is that if your break is 1 month, like 30 days or longer, we typically depends on the scenario, of course, but if it's 1 month or longer, we have this role called the mascot role. And we basically it's like an honorary member position. We're fortunate enough that we're like a medium-sized club, so we can hold people in the club, but obviously if we were to get bigger, we'd have to remove them. Um, but after the 1+ month, I'll check in, be like, hey, where you at? And if they decide it's best for them, they can take on what's called a mascot role. It's honorary member. They can attend events because obviously we knew them prior, but they won't be like an official member. They won't be on our roster. We won't be keeping up attendance for them. So kind of like you said, Silas, it's important checking in with people, seeing where they're at. Yeah, that was another TLDR. I don't know if you want me to spiel on anything else, Felix. I'm trying to like not yap about everything because it's so
Yeah.
much, but
Yeah, no, you're good. The other thing too is like if their break is longer for 1 month for whatever reason, we may also have them rank down to a lower dressage rank and just basically do a refresher of the previous rank. So for we
Mhm.
have deckhands, cadets, and boaters. So say for example you were in the cadet rank and you went on break and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be on break for a month because of end of term stuff, or maybe like one of my family members had to have surgery, so I'm taking care of them for this amount of time. And then, yeah, poor Anna. And then maybe so like then they have to end up going longer for a month. Like you said, Silas, you check in, you go, okay, hey, like, are you ready to come back? Do you need more time? And then maybe like, ah, yeah, I do need more time. So then maybe their whole break is maybe like 2 months or 6 weeks or whatever. And then at that point, you would be okay, since you've been gone for so long, and maybe we've like updated the curriculum, like we added new stuff to deckhands. Maybe we're like, okay, you're gonna rank back down to deckhands. You're gonna redo those lessons, and then once you're done with them, you can rank back up. Just so that like they're
Mhm.
still on the same page with everybody else in terms of like they're learning. You do get a little rusty too if you haven't done dressage for a while, so it's just a way to make sure that
yes.
they're still like up to date with like all the little ways that
Mhm.
Crystal Pirates does dressage. So they're not like
Isn't it like
struggling during like competitions. They're like, Felix is yapping about a three buddy. What the heck is a three buddy? I've never done that before in my
Yeah, it's like,
life.
oh no,
what?
bro is speaking in a
Glider?
different language.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so funny.
exactly.
I feel like there's a like a psychology behind it. What is it like? It takes 3 months to form a habit, and like
Mhm.
logging onto do dressage is kind of like a habit, but it's
Yeah.
also like
Mhm.
its own art form, like playing an instrument, drawing. You have to practice it to get better, and if you're not practicing it for a month, you're going to naturally lose some of your ability.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
How it
Right, for
goes.
sure. Do we
Only our
want to
brains
talk a
were
little
wired.
bit about what it's like to maintain a high level of activity as like the owner or the staff? Like how do you manage um like avoiding burnout for yourself?
Okay. I can go first.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
I have been in some burnout situations. Uh, so it is a lot managing a club, keeping up with all the people, and it can be tiring, but if you have a staff team, it definitely helps. Um, again, communication, yada yada yada, communicate with your people. It also is important to like know yourself. Like I know that after a competition has completed, I need at least like 1 to 3 days where I do literally nothing. And that also flip flops like into HR work. Like I have in the quarter deck, the staff server with all the staff members, I have a to do list, and that thing is all there's always something on it. Like it never ends. Like not even joking you, it is never ending. But I've over time, again, like I said, I've done this for a while, so I know like whenever I'm having a burnout and I just need to stop. Like heck, even Felix, like the other day in the quarter deck, I was like, I've been working on to do stuff for the past like week and a half, and there's still stuff on my list. It's just overwhelming, so I'm going to take a break and I'll look at it this weekend. So it's just knowing your abilities and when you need to take a break and just being
Mhm.
Mhm.
self-aware.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. Um, for me, when it comes to just managing the club, one of the biggest things I do is I constantly try to make it fun for myself
Mm,
and not just like a task to do.
right.
Because again, treating things as much as we need to get them done as just tasks to do often makes you feel like you're back at your job, like you're just got to do these tasks to get them done, sort of thing. And that takes the fun out of it. But the biggest thing and the one thing that has always kept me motivated, first of all, is just the ambition, being like, I have a very specific goal that I want to reach, that if I slow down, I'm not going to be able to reach it. But at the same
Mm,
time, I need to make it fun for myself so that I don't lose the motivation because, again, I'm getting burnt out. Like, one of the biggest ambitions we've had recently was getting SSD registered.
mhm.
So we worked our butts off for months to make sure that we could get this monumental goal of ours. And even though we got it recently, it's like, well, we got to move on to the next goal so that we can keep this train a rolling, guys. So we've been rocking and rolling and trying to keep ourselves motivated to sort of just have fun with these tasks, and having that ambition, that next goal, really tends to keep a lot of people motivated, especially on the staff team that I have.
Right. And it's like, how can you also like communicate those goals, like you said, with your staff members so that they can support you and you can delegate
Hmm.
tasks to them based on their strengths or what they're interested in doing. But also, how can you
Hmm.
communicate those goals to the club as a whole so that they know like what's going on behind the scenes? Maybe some of them are like, hey, like, for example, Silas talked about wanting to like make like more like TikToks. Well, I guess TikTok is going away, but more reels on Instagram. And
Rest, rest in peace, rest in peace.
I
Rest
really
in
love
peace.
doing video edits. Maybe I can like DM Silas and be like, hey, like I would really love to help with that. And then you have another little Pookie who can help out here and there. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, definitely like I think what a lot of people don't realize when they have this like rose-colored vision of what it means to be a club owner is they don't
Oh
understand
my
how much
god.
work goes into it. Like it's its own part-time job. Like you're dedicating like 15 hours a week or more to behind the scenes stuff like planning, organizing. You
Hmm.
know, it is its own little part-time job. And like your ability to maintain a sustained level activity as the owner or the staff team will set the tone for everybody else. So it's like you said, like how can you make things fun for yourself? How do you recognize signs of burnout in yourself? How do you make sure that you give yourself time to rest and like to do other things? Um,
Hmm.
so like a big thing I say to people who are like, I would like to start my own club or team is I ask them like, what is sustainable for you long term, week over week, month over month, year over year in terms of hosting? Like, do you think you yourself, like especially when you're first starting and you're likely the only person who's hosting, can you host 3 or 4 or 5 times per week or 2 times per week? Like, what is manageable for you with all
Hmm.
the other responsibilities, like whether it's school or work or any other stuff you have to do? Um, the thing I find important as well is like how do you organize yourself ahead of time? So like do you like plan out like for the week? You're like, okay, so on Monday I'm gonna start planning for the following week in terms of events, practices, social media posts, etc. Do you have a little to-do list like Toilet said where like you prioritize, okay, this stuff is like top priority, I should work on that first. And then there's some little things here at the bottom. It's nice if I could do them, but if I don't do them, it's not the end of the world. So it's like, how do
Right.
you make things easier for your future self, try to avoid procrastinating. um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah.
And yeah. And then one of the biggest things as well to remember is that everyone is going to be looking towards the staff members as well as the club owner, for well, as the role model for attendance and
Mhm.
activities. So if they join a club and realize, why is the club owner never here? Be
Mhm.
like, well, if the club owner doesn't have to be here, or if all the leaders don't have to be here, then why do I have to be here, sort of
Right.
thing. Like, again, if you set the expectation of, hey, I am not, like, I'm the staff member, I don't want to go to this event, I'm not going to go to this event, then there's a chance that your club members will look towards that and be like, oh, well, then it must not be important because our club leader isn't going to this event, so
Mhm.
then why should I? So again, you always got to know that you are the role model towards your club member, no matter um, what rank that club member is. They're always going to look towards you to base their attendance and their behavior on. So if your behavior is bad or if your attendance is bad, they're going to let their attendance or behavior slip because they can realize, oh, well, if they can get away with it, then I can probably get away with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you don't realize
So
how
you
many
always,
people look to you for guidance on what they should be doing.
yeah, because yeah, unfortunately, as the club owner, no one is holding really accountable except yourself and your
Right.
staff members. But again, you are the biggest thing that is holding you accountable.
Right. And like I think the big
Hmm.
thing too is like don't be afraid to ask for help. So like if like you're really swamped with like school stuff that week or like you have like friends or family visiting or whatever, like reach out to your staff and be upfront. Say, hey, this week for me is gonna be a little cray cray. Can you guys do a little more this week? And then maybe they can't. Fair enough. Let your club know so you can be like, guys, this upcoming week for me is gonna be really busy, so I'm only gonna be able to do this amount of things. So this is gonna be like maybe like a little like mini break week for the whole club. Like
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
everybody take a load off, relax, because I'm gonna be doing all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But again, communication, like let them know ahead of time. This is what's happening in my life. I'm not ghosting you guys. I'm just gonna be really busy with,
Yeah.
my me in the real world
Yeah.
instead of the
Like
Pixel Pony game. Yeah.
right. Like not everyone can maintain their specified like activity all the time. Like
Hmm.
we're not robots. So like at some point like an instructors won't be there, and
Right.
that's okay. Um so like again, it's just you got to figure out ways to fix that. Being like, oh, this instructor isn't going to be here. I'll have another instructor sub in, or I'll do it myself,
Right.
just so that this event can continue on. Because again, you want to, even if there is issues, and then like you have, like I said, if like an instructor has to dip, you want to also keep that activity going for the people
Hmm.
that want to go there. So like it's all about it's a balancing act is what it is. And it's a major one, and it's a skill that takes a long time to learn.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. So like also too, like if you're brand new to club or team owning, don't beat yourself up if you don't get everything right away. Nobody's perfect from the get-go. Actually, you can't achieve perfection. That's impossible. You just get better. So give yourself
No, you
grace,
will
let yourself learn, let yourself make mistakes.
be.
Um, yeah, the joy of being
At the end of the
human.
day, it's a Pixel
Yeah.
Pony game, so it
Yeah,
goes too hard to just.
Yeah, and
exactly. Yeah,
like
yeah.
even yeah, and also like don't like compare yourself. Well, don't always compare yourself to the success of others.
Hmm.
Like you might have your ambitions, and that's perfectly fine, but
Yeah,
don't like a comparison is the thief of joy and all
right.
that. Like you can always want to be like one of those huge clubs
Hmm.
that are like you see on Instagram, and that's so awesome, and that's a good goal to have. But again, like you don't beat yourself up if you cannot feasibly achieve that goal right away, because things take a while,
Hmm.
and like sometimes things just don't work out, and that's okay.
Right.
So it just be fair with yourself, work hard, um, and if things don't work out, that's okay. Just keep it
Hmm.
rolling. Things will eventually work themselves out.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. Like it's okay to compare, like get inspiration from other clubs that you really admire. But if you want to compare, compare yourself to yourself over time. So like, how have you
Mm-hmm.
improved over your time? And setbacks are totally normal as well. There's periods of time like you'll feel less motivation, or like you said, maybe things won't work out. That's totally normal. So just like it's like, okay, how have I improved compared to a month ago or 4 months ago or even a year ago? And you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
see it that way. Because yeah, if you try to compare yourself to some very well established big clubs, it's like that's just you're gonna make yourself sad. So don't do
Yeah, you're gonna make yourself
Yeah.
sad because again, because again, like sometimes you just won't have the same opportunities as another
Right.
club, and that is an unfortunate reality. But like that's not the worst thing in the world, because you can make your own opportunities
Hmm.
even if you don't get the same ones that give the immediate success of another club.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Mhm.
just all about not comparing yourself, and don't feel bad if you're not growing as fast as you want to, because the speed of growth does not always like equal healthy growth.
Right.
like
Mhm.
you might, yeah, because there's a difference of growth between a weed and a flower. Weeds grow fast, but they die quickly, and they're weeds. So like don't beat yourself up if you are not like achieving the goals as quickly as you want them to.
Hmm.
Mhm. I'm nodding my head right now. Again, those are some really good
Oh,
analogies. If Pablo was here,
what
they
can
would
I
enjoy this.
say?
We love analogies. We should have like a little analogy quote book for all the Crow's Nest
Yes.
episodes. This is the analogies. Maybe you'll find them helpful.
Yes.
Fair enough, fair enough.
All right. Do we have any closing statements on either of the topics that we discussed today?
Not personally from myself. I think we hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mhm.
I saw you trying to change the slide again. I'm so sorry, Charlotte. There's no final slide. It's just
Oh,
the two.
I was going back over to it. No, I was just going back over to it.
Okay,
Woo!
beautiful. Okay, well, we have been yapping for over an hour. I think that's pretty good.
Oh wow, impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This yap hits different.
Certified yappers unite.
Yeah, we love a quality yap sesh.
Yes. All right. Well,
Oh, that's so good.
unless we have any questions from the audience. think we will be.
Jenny, is the audience satisfied?
Is the audience satisfied, Jenny? Let us know.
Oh yeah, we need our audience.
Let
What
us
if we
know,
rate
Jenny.
on Rotten Tomatoes?
Send the
Yeah.
queso
Make
gif
an
if the
emoji.
audience is satisfied. Audience is very
Yay!
satisfied. Yippee!
Yay!
All right. Okay. Well, with that stamp of approval, I think we will finish here. Thank you so much for joining us, Silas. This was great.
Yes, thank
Of
you.
course, of course.
All right. Well, have a lovely rest of your day, whatever time zone you're in.
Happy time zone.
Happy time zone.
Yep, we love it, love it.
That is without doubt the worst pirate I have ever seen.
Gentlemen, milady, you will always remember this as the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.